Today, we are decoding the incredible and, let's be real, the sometimes completely chaotic world of early childhood. We're going to take a look at the actual blueprint for development in kids between the ages of 3 and 6. So, here's our roadmap. We'll start with the physical foundation, then jump into the cognitive operating system, and see how they build social connections. And finally, we'll talk about your role as the lead architect in this whole amazing project.
Yeah, if you've ever stepped into a preschool classroom, you know exactly what this looks like. It feels like pure chaos. The noise, the mess. But what if I told you that all of this is actually a construction site? Today, we're looking at the blueprint that turns all that chaos into a person.
Okay, so where does any great building project start? With a solid foundation. So let's begin with the most visible part of their blueprint, the absolutely incredible physical growth that happens during these years.
First thing you notice, they just shoot upwards. We're talking 5 to 7 centimeters a year. I mean, it's no wonder you feel like you're buying new pants every other week, right? This is literally them growing up to meet the world. And it's not just about getting taller, they're getting stronger too. They're putting on about 2 to 3 kilos a year, and that's building the muscle and the core strength they need for all that running, jumping, and climbing they love to do. But you know, the most critical construction of all is the stuff you can't even see. It's happening inside their heads. Their brain is going through a massive, massive wiring upgrade. Billions of neurons are forming new connections at a truly explosive rate, especially between 3 and 6 years old. So how does this learning explosion actually work? Well, think of it like a two-step tech upgrade. First, you have all these new connections, synapses, popping up all over the place. Then this process called myelination comes in and basically insulates those pathways, making the signals travel way, way faster. The result? It's literally like their brain is upgrading from old-school dial-up to super-fast fiber optic internet. And you can actually see this brain-body connection in real time when you watch them move. Think about it. In just a couple of years, they go from the pretty simple mechanics of pedaling a trike to the complex rhythmic coordination it takes to skip. That is a huge, huge leap. And we see the exact same amazing jump in their fine motor skills, the small muscle control in their hands and fingers. They go from just stacking blocks to having the precision to trace letters, which is obviously essential for learning to write, but also for everyday things like buttoning a shirt. Okay, so we've covered the physical hardware. But what about the software? Now let's boot up the fascinating and often pretty surprising operating system of a preschooler's mind. To really understand how they think, we've got to look at the foundational work of psychologist Jean Piaget. He called this the pre-operational stage. And what that basically means is that it's a time of incredible imagination and symbolic thought. But their reasoning just doesn't follow the same logical rules that our adult minds do. And this stage is really a two-sided coin. On the one hand, you get these huge advancements. Their imagination is just off the charts. Pretend play is everything. But on the other side, you have some key limitations. They get stuck focusing on just one single detail that's called centration. And this is a big one. They really struggle to see things from anyone else's perspective. All these limitations lead up to one big mental hurdle, the concept of conservation. This is the simple idea that changing how something looks doesn't change how much of it there is. And I promise you, once you understand this, so many of those classic preschooler arguments over what's fair will suddenly make perfect sense. This is the classic example. You pour the exact same amount of juice into a short, wide glass and a tall, skinny glass. You ask a preschooler which one has more, and almost every single time they will point to the taller one. Why? Because of centration. Their brain is laser focused on that one obvious feature, the height, and it just can't logically compute that the volume is still the same. All right, so we've got the physical plans and the cognitive plans. Now it's time for the next phase of construction, building their place in the social world. This is one of the most profound leaps in all of human development. It's the dawn of what's called theory of mind. It's that aha moment when a child finally realizes that what's in their head isn't what's in everyone else's head. They start to understand that other people have their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own secrets. Now, this doesn't just happen overnight. Around age 4, they start to get that someone can believe something different than they do. But by age 6, they can grasp a much more complex idea, that two people can look at the exact same situation and come away with two totally different interpretations. And that right there, that is the bedrock of empathy. And what's their primary tool for navigating this new social world? Language.
And the growth here is just mind-blowing. At age 3, they understand about 1,000 words. But by 6, they can speak over 2,000 words and understand, get this, up to 20,000. Their brain is just a super sponge, soaking up words way faster than they can even say them.
So when you put all of this development together, you start to see all these new social behaviors. They are driven to do things by myself. Their play starts to shift from playing alone to actually playing with peers. And with their amazing new language skills, they can start to put words to their big feelings, saying things like, "Danny took my toy, so I am sad," which is a massive, massive step in learning to handle their own emotions.
So, we've seen the blueprint. Now for the most important part. How can you, as the architect, actually use it? Let's turn all this knowledge into some practical tools.
Well, knowing the blueprint means you can design the right environment to help them succeed. Remember that developing brain? It means short attention spans. So keep your instructions simple and to the point. Remember those growing bodies? They are built to move. So setting up an obstacle course or just encouraging active play is fantastic. And remember that every new skill, from skipping to sharing, it all needs practice. Giving them the time to master something builds a really powerful sense of pride.
We've seen how the physical, the cognitive, and the social plans all fit together in this incredible period of construction. You're not just watching chaos, you are witnessing the very foundation of a person being built, brick by brick. So the question is, now that you have the blueprint, what will you help them build?